Hey guys, hello. Welcome to day 2 of the Empowered Coach series. So, on day 2, what I'm going to be talking about is that coaching is not teaching, and I'm going to be going into a couple of the things that shifted for me to learn how to become a $10,000 coach and kind of the things I started implementing that were really different than when I was charging $2,500. So I'm super excited to share this with you guys. This is day 2. Day 1 was, totally forgot what day 1 was. Day 1 was what to do if your client or clients aren't getting results. So I'm super excited to talk with you guys about this because it's almost as if with this series, you're getting an inside look at kind of how I coach. Like how I am as a coach, like what it's like to work with me. Currently, I'm not taking on any coaching clients, but it's kind of like if I were to coach you or if you were to come into my $10,000 program, what it would look like for me to coach you, okay? And all this stuff is super helpful for you as a coach to learn and to grow, all right? So if you're on, say hello. I'm just gonna open up my tab here so I can see myself, make sure I can see your comments because I don't see them for some reason on my phone, which is a bummer. But no worries. Let me just open this up here and we will get started. Now, I'm pretty fired up about this topic. I think I wrote this very quickly. I wrote all the notes for this one super quick, which I'm excited about. All right, guys, so let's talk about when you enter into a coaching relationship with a client. What I just want to make sure that you understand is that it's going to look different than teaching a course, okay? So when you enter into a coaching relationship, it's different than teaching because teaching is more about information and coaching is more about transformation. Now, can you get transformation from information? Yesterday I was saying you cannot. And I think part of me is like, technically you could, but I think just for the context of this, what I mean is coaching is basically the only thing that you're trying to do in a coaching relationship is get someone to transform, okay? In a course, you're trying to teach, right? So it's just, you're trying to teach information. So it's just a completely different way to learn and to grow, right? And coaching is really the skill of getting someone to move past stuckness, blocks, or problems in order to get to their goal, right? So what I want you to think about is, I'm sure this will be a good example. For example, right? Think about a teacher you had in high school, okay? Versus, say, like a coach you had for one of your teams or something. Say you run the swim team or the tennis or cheerleading or whatever, right? The way that they did their jobs was probably very different. It was two different styles, right? And they had two very different goals. So that's kind of what you can think about when you are coaching someone, that you're not teaching them, okay? You are not there to teach them information. You are there to get transformation. Just like how your math teacher had a different way of, getting you, like they had different goals, they had different techniques and different styles, right? Compared to like your swim team coach or your cheerleading coach, they had very different goals. And it's the same thing. So if you think about it this way in your business, think about that when you are trying to be like your teacher, right? The teacher who taught you math or social studies or science, you can think of putting that hat on. Think of that person. Think of like your favorite teacher, right? When it comes to creating a course. Versus when you're entering a coaching relationship with somebody else, think of your favorite coach that you've ever had. So whether it was a business coach or whether it was a coach from high school or someone who you just felt like was an amazing influence on your life, use that person as inspiration for that relationship, okay? But your real goal in becoming a coach and enter the coaching relationship is to get a client to move through whatever is holding them back and get them into a new space to create change in their life. And of course, for all of us here, we all have different ways that we are trying to get people to new things and new levels. And the changes can be mental, can be physical, can be spiritual, hey Sarah, or emotional, whatever it is, okay? But what coaching is it's not coddling, okay? It's not allowing excuses. It's not pampering the client's ego so your ego can feel good, all right? So a lot of people, when I see, like, sometimes I have clients or students, right? They come to work with me and they'll tell me, like, Shannon, like, my client, she didn't do her homework. like things just got busy, or, you know, I gave her this assignment or whatever, and she just didn't get to it, right? So in this situation, this is a good example, right? If you had a client, right, all of you guys watching or even watching the replay, hey, if you had a client who didn't do the assignment or the activity that you wanted, what would you say to that person? What would you say to that client? And I wanted to also say that this client like came to you and said, I couldn't do it because, you know, I was super busy with the kids, and then my husband needed this, or this happened. You know, they're really listing off all these things that were kind of hard for them to go through. What would be kind of the thing that you would do if a client gave you those things? I'm interested to hear these. This will be really fun. I just thought of this. I thought this would be really, really fun. It's a great idea, Shannon. And I'll tell you what I would do if I've had a client. I've had plenty of clients in those situations, and typically what I do in those situations. I'll give you guys just a little bit longer, and then I'll give you my answer. But I'd love to see what you guys would do in that situation. I think that would be really fun to hear you talk about this. Okay, so let me give you my answer. So in this situation, okay, when I have a client or someone who didn't do the assignment, didn't do the homework, or whatever I kind of gave to them, right? I use this situation. Yeah, so Sarah, what can we put in place? What structure would create a different possibility for next time? Yeah, did I read that right? Is it supposed to be put in place? What structure would create a different possibility for next time? I love that. I love it. Okay. One thing that I would do is in this situation is I wouldn't shame the student, right? Like how you were saying, Sarah, right? It's like you're not shaming them for not doing it. You're not making them feel bad for not doing it. But I would use the situation as an opportunity to address instead why they are stuck, why they didn't put this thing first, or even like, is there a bigger issue at hand than doing the homework? So maybe there's a worthiness issue coming up. Maybe they don't feel worthy of putting themselves first. Maybe there is fear around doing the work and nothing happening, right? So there's I think there's usually something else that's there. It's kind of like I look at it as when my clients come to me, they are in one place and they want to get over here. And then in between this space and this space over here are just tiny, tiny little blocks and steps and things that are going to stop them from getting to where they want to be. So it's my goal to address what is truly going on, and then how do we change that? Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Okay. So that's typically what it would look like if I was to coach someone about this and ask them about this and change their mind about this. All right. So there is some teaching involved, okay? There's some teaching involved in coaching because a client has come to you to learn some things you've done before, right? That's usually like, you know, whether you're like, okay, I'm a business coach, usually because you've been successful in business, and they want to learn that, you know? There's things that there is going to be taught, okay? So there is a different style of coaching. I don't know if you guys know about this, but I want to tell you guys, there is a different style of coaching, and maybe you would be interested in doing this. It's basically, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to be successful in the way I've been successful. So that's different than coaching, and that's called mentoring. So mentoring is basically like, if you want to start a business, like I started a restaurant. You want to start a restaurant? I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, step 1 through 10 of exactly what you need to do in order to start a business, and you're going to follow everything I say. So coaching is different because it allows for more like, it's more personal to the person, right? It's like you can coach someone through something on several different businesses because it's about them, right? It's about this personal transformation. So the teaching should not be the main focus of the relationship. The main focus of the relationship is the client moving forward towards their goals, okay? So they've hired you because they have a hard time getting there for some reason. So teaching should not be the main focus, although it's a little piece in there. And like I said, mentoring is something that's like, I'm going to teach, you know, steps 1 through 10. You're going to go through steps 1 through 10. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. So that's something else completely different, but it might be of interest to you. All right. So another thing we'd like to talk about in the space of becoming a coach is, you may have heard this phrase before, and I remember someone saying this before. Like, she was like, I remember her saying it, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? She said, I remember she was like, I hold, like holding the space, right? Like, how many of you guys have heard of holding the space? And you were like, what the fuck is holding the space? Like, I remember the first time I heard that, and I was like, I have no idea what that means. And that's just like the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Like, I was like so confused. Like, I'm very confused. But now I completely and totally get it. And when you charge $10,000, holding the space is like the only thing you need to do. It's not like the only thing, but it really is like the main thing you need to master, right? So holding the space, I'm gonna tell you in case you don't know, like I didn't know, right? Holding the space is basically like, I know what you can become, okay, right? Like, I'm gonna put you on this little hand right here. Like, this is who you could become, this is what you could have, and this is what you can do. And I'm gonna hold this here for you our entire time that we work together. So it's basically like saying, like, I'm not gonna hold you to the standard of who you are now. I kind of don't like doing like this, but it's true, right? Like, you wanna get here, right? I'm not gonna hold the space for who this person is. I'm gonna hold the space for who this person is. Oh, I get holding the space from a mental health perspective. I didn't even know that was like a mental health. I'm previously a counselor, and I didn't even know that was in mental health until I became a coach. It was like the first time I ever heard it, and I was like, I have no idea what this means. But basically what I learned is in my coaching was that holding the space was really about, you are this person here, and I'm going to hold the space for that person. So really what it means is you're holding, right? Like, you're holding, exactly, yeah, choosing to see them as their possibility, exactly, Sarah. So it's like you're holding the space for this person to become that version of them that they want to actually be, right? And a lot of times it's in some ways it's like massively hard almost, because they're so stuck in who they are right now and what they have, right? Well, I only have this, or I've only made this much money, or I've never lost weight before, or I've never done this before, I've never felt, not anxious before or something, right? And you have to be the person who keeps reminding them of what they can become, what they can have. And it's also like, I look at it as treating them that way. Like, I treat that person at that level already. So I'm not coming down to like where they currently are and saying like, oh, you're right, your reality's like this and it's like that, right? Like, and I'm not denying them of it either, but it's just more of like, but no, like, you're gonna become this person, so I'm gonna hold you to that standard. So I'm not gonna treat them like they're kind of like here right now, right? I'm gonna treat them like this person there. So I like to give this example because what I notice a lot is I call them temper tantrums, but they're not really temper tantrums, but they kind of are sometimes. And I think we've all had our temper tantrums, and I think we've all had clients who are having temper tantrums, right? So the temper tantrum could be anything. It could be like, oh, I put out this new offer and no one, it might come off as either anger or sadness or whatever, right? A temper tantrum could be anything. And it's like, no one came into my offer, no one liked my post, no one watched my video, right? And it's as if the client is starting to get into this temper tantrum space. But because I'm holding space for you to be that person that I know you can become, I'm not messing around with your temper tantrum. Like, that's like just not, you wouldn't do that at that level that I'm holding the space for. Like, no, you just would not do that, right? So this is also a good time to talk about when they are having a temper tantrum, okay, that your job, okay, isn't to get on the floor with them, okay? So if a client, what I have found is that the best thing to do is if a client is freaking out, like really freaking out about something, like the offer didn't fill, maybe they spent money on Facebook ads, or maybe they they ate good all week and they went to the gym and just nothing is moving and nothing is happening. You know, that point, like nothing is happening, that frustration, right? Your job isn't to then say like, okay, like, do you want to hop on the phone right now? And like, do you want to just vent? And like, do you want to just like, it's kind of like your job isn't like, I look at it as like to not get on the floor with them, to not actually start, you know, flailing your arms and legs as the client is flailing theirs. That's not like your job. Your job at that point is to remain like an anchor and stable and firm and grounding and still hold the space for who they're supposed to become. So even if the client is having the temper tantrum, I'm not getting on the floor with them. Although I have gotten on the floor several times. I'll say that. Before I used to get on the floor all the time, I used to be like, oh my God, I know you're freaking out. Like, okay, like, do you want to hop on a quick, like, call? Do you want to, like, what do you need? You know, what can I do for, and it was just, it didn't work. It didn't help the client. It didn't help me because I felt exhausted, right? And then the client also, it didn't really do much for them. They still didn't know how to handle these moments when of like they've done everything and nothing's working, or moments of frustration. So when your client is having a temper tantrum, do not get on the floor with them. You sit there and you hold the space for who they're supposed to become. So you basically, it's like, if I have a client and she's having a temper tantrum, I'm like, okay, great. What do you think our next moves are? Like, what are we gonna, you stay just super calm and stable. That's really what they need in that moment. They need someone who's calm, who's stable, and who's still holding the possibility for who they can become. That's really what they need. All right? Okay, so that was just a quick overview of what I feel like I've learned as a $10,000 coach, the skills I've really mastered once I get to $10,000, and why I feel like coaching and teaching is just completely different and how it looks different in those like scenarios. Now, this might look totally different than your coaching. That's okay. Feel free to take any things that felt really good. But by putting things into place, I'll tell you guys, putting these things into place has really transformed all the clients who previously worked with me one-on-one. They went on to have leaps and bounds, like just huge leaps, like from stuck at like $2,000 a month to then their first $30,000 a month, from things of like stuck at like, what's my other client stuck at around like $5,000 and she was really burnt out, to then having her first $52,000 a month. I've had other clients who've had a $20,000 a month with like $10,000 in the bank and stuff. And it was really from practicing a lot of these things. It wasn't from getting on the floor with them with their temper tantrums. It wasn't from trying to just like fire hose them with information. It wasn't from giving them 24 access to me all the time. It was really from practicing these really firm boundaries and these skills and just like remaining and holding the space for them. That was a really, really thing. Okay guys, so also the Empowered Coach, the course, is coming out tonight. It's gonna be 4 modules. It's gonna be super affordable. It's just gonna be one payment of $197. I'll do a payment plan too. And I can't wait to share it with you guys. It's really about digging in deeper into all these skills and all these techniques so you can become the best coach you can become. Is that? No, that doesn't sound right. So you can become the best coach that you know you can, because also becoming a really good fucking coach leads to really good testimonials, which leads to more money, right? Which leads to more streak. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.